My mom arrived here on the 20th of June 1980. So myself, I came on that time, March 14, from Phnom Penh directly to United States. My first stop over at San Francisco, and then continue to Los Angeles, LAX at that time. We did not have plan to come because of we did not know anything that it's going to happen over there. My husband came as a student in 1974, August 74. When he got here, he cannot do anything. He has to go to work, and he cannot work. We have to work like hiding, because we don't have anything. Just a student without a student, it's nothing that legible, you know. It is like illegal.
I came here in 1973. I came here before the Khmer Rouge took over the country, but the main civil war between the Khmer Rouge and the Republic of Cambodia started in 1970. So by 1972, the Khmer Rouge were actually winning the war. So a lot of people were fleeing into the city side. In the city, they were fleeing the countryside. I was the first year student at a university in Phnom Penh, and we could hear the fighting every night. So my dad told me, you have to get out of here because we are going to lose the war. So I was there close to 1 year before I got my student visa approved to come to the US.
We could go all the way back to when we first, I would say, not escape, but leaving the territory that is a hostile environment, per se. We left our own village. This is the beginning. We came to Battambang, where our original city that we used to live. And then we don't have place to go, and we keep on moving. And then we stay in cities called Svai Sisapon for about a couple of months, give and take. Again, just to be rephrased a little bit. When all things happening, you do not think about what day and time and what year, what month, because it's not really a generation that you have watch, you have calendars, you don't have all of that per se, because you don't have it. So you go on to whatever day is coming up.
It was a shocking story. We have no idea what we were get into or where, because we don't speak their language. So it's kind of hard when you don't speak any English. So we started from scratch, and even though we start school late, and no word of English, so we go to school like regular students, like a normal regular student. Then we also have a tutor, special tutor in school. So it's like a 3 times a day school for us to be able to catch up with the normal regular class group.
I have some fond memories when we first arrived to the U.S. We were in Atlanta, Georgia, and those are the memories I still have till this day. Just of me playing as a kid in the playground, at a church. Also, a Christian family took us in, or they were like our sponsor at the time. And the lady's name was Camille. I'm not sure where she is now. But my mom spoke highly of her because she was the one who helped my mom basically adapt to the new life here in America.
I remember my first day was at Roosevelt Elementary School, which has been remodeled. It's in front of Long Beach Poly, and I didn't have any shoes. I still had flip-flops from the refugee camp, which I wore, and then they sent me to the lost and found to find whatever shoe I could find. So that memory, that's why, you know, when I was a teenager and when I was a young adult, like sneakers were really, really dear to me, because with sneakers I could run faster. With sneakers I'm able to participate in sports. I wasn't just in sandals, so those sneakers are very symbolic to me, like all the different shoes that I had as when I was younger.
But before even working on, I mean, again, so let me just tell you another story from my childhood, which is I have very early memories of going to sleep at night and then waking up, and then there'd be a family in the house. And I know who they were. And they, you know, all looked a little, you know, disheveled, a little scared, and then by the time I came home from school, they'd be gone. And then go to sleep, and the next day there'd be another family. And by the time I came home, they were gone. And what was happening was my parents were sponsoring people, right? And so there was this, I called it, in hindsight, I called it our own little underground railroad, because they were sponsoring people, and a lot of them were family, but not all of them were family. And you know, this is family by Khmer terms, right? It's like extended, it's like the village, right? And so I don't know how many people. I asked my mom when my dad passed, how many families did you sponsor? She couldn't tell me. She had no idea, right? But so he did this, they did this for years and years and years, and he couldn't get his sister out. And that was one of his great sorrows, was I've been doing this for everyone else and I cannot get my own family out. And then he was able to do it eventually.
I remember the first day I attended school, 1980. I'm already 10 years old. I'm so scared. I'm scared that I cannot learn how to read and write. The first time they introduced alphabet to me, I said, oh my God, what happened if I cannot learn read and write? What happened to me? Because like I already 10 and I don't even know alphabet. And I think it may be the reason that I never good in language, because they introduced language to me too late. Because I passed the age that you can learn the language very well. Because in early childhood, if you pass the age of 7, you don't introduce you to the language, you kind of behind. I always never good in language. Language is the most difficult to me.
Well, my parents got here, I think in 1980-ish, and I was born in 1983. My parents actually met here in the United States. Both of their prior partners passed away in the genocide. Growing up here, I mean, I was born in San Diego, but I pretty much grew up in Long Beach. I started school here. I went to kindergarten here at Whittier Elementary School. And growing up I'm the youngest in my family. There's 5 of us. So I was very much spoiled by my siblings and by my parents, especially my dad, since I was his only child here with my mom. But growing up in Long Beach was, it was fun, but it was also very difficult, especially for my older siblings. Watching them grow up in a time of a lot of racial tension, a lot of gang violence, especially directed towards my 2 older brothers. Me being the youngest, I think they were able to shelter me from that, but it has affected the way that they grew up and the way that they see things, which has kind of passed on down to me.
I think I count as one of the newer generations of the Gen Z, but I see like most Khmer Americans, like even like my age, they don't like know Khmer, know how to speak Khmer, or even understand it. Some like forget their roots, especially as a part of the intergeneration trauma. So we know that's so prominent with that because like, say like in our Khmer households, you know, I was forced to, technically not forced, but I really wanted to. I prefer to speak Khmer at home. And then when I went to school, like I didn't learn English till I started going to school for about since my first grade year. So I did that for about 6 years since English was still so hard for me.
Even though, you know, ខ្ញុំចេះនិយាយខ្មែរបន្តិចបានប៉ុន្តែខ្ញុំចេះស្ដាប់ខ្មែរ you know, like I could understand a lot. And because my aunts raised me while my mom was at work and they Khmer, so I could understand a lot of Khmer. But you know, it just became really clear while I was in the Cambodian classical dance space that like I didn't look the same as everybody else, and my body was different than everybody else. And at first everyone thought I was so cute, you know, and they were like, you know, oh, look at that little girl, like she's doing Cambodian classical dance and just doing like bopaloke, you know what I mean? And at first everything was fine, but then as, you know, I got older, people weren't asking questions in like a kind way. It wasn't like, oh, we just want to know, like, how does this, they would call me like Mexican or like different ethnic backgrounds, right? They were like, why is this Mexican girl on stage? Or why is this American girl on stage? And it wasn't like a kind curiosity anymore. It was like really pointed and like kind of mean.
Oh, my earliest ones, I mean, when we finally got to Long Beach, it was fun hanging out with the kids. We would always get ice cream and stuff like that. Being a kid was fun. Like, it was great. It wasn't until I went to school in middle school, like, cause I always grew up, you know, we lived close to the gang violence on Walnut. Went to school, you know, I did notice like pictures of, you know, young men that were killed in drive-bys, but I was so young that I didn't understand that, you know, it wasn't until I got older that I knew that was drive-by. For me, young as a person, like, we knew there was violence in the community, but we didn't know like where it was actually happened. Even when it happened, it didn't hit me until middle school. Because in middle school, I went to a school called Franklin Middle School, which is known to have a lot of Latinos that are from Eastside Longos, and they would have problems with Cambodians. Because I remember growing up, there's always this talk amongst the Cambodians where it's like, hey, supposedly the Eastside Longos are waiting outside and they're ready to jump us. Because there's usually fights that happens at Hamburger Dams on 7th and Orange, and there's usually a lot of Cambodians and Mexicans fighting each other. So,
what is something that gives you hope for the future?
I'd say what gives me hope for the future is like seeing like even the younger kids speak Khmer, or even like seeing the younger generation like wanting to be interested to like show up to events, you know, like say if like UCC hosted another like event, if I see like any like young kids there, you know, it kind of gives me hope.
I think the most important thing that I would like to pass down to my children is my culture, where I came from, and here as Cambodian Americans, you know, I want them, you know, because that's what makes them unique and different. That's what makes not just us, but every one of us that we interact with, and everyone that, you know, here in America, we all come from a very unique cultural background.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I hear it all the time, like there's this lost history, but as a person I see myself as an artist, I'm constantly gathering stories. So for me, it's like I have this plethora of like information and stories that can be used for them. I just think like the elders are not seeing what they grew up with. Whereas the younger generation, and they're unable to, and like when they're passing down to the younger generation, they want to continue that same replica. Whereas the younger generations, they like parts and they want to like change it into what other things they like. I actually asked somebody in Cambodia, I was like, hey, can you have the Cambodian writing? So she wrote my actual name in Khmer, but also the word Sambo. So I got those two on top, in the middle, Hatluman, because Hatluman was something I always grew up hearing as a Cambodian, like that's our God, you know. So when that our deity, and when he created, I was like, that matches my Hatluman, because it's the image I see him as. That matches my generation compared to the older generation. Yeah. And I remember him doing that, and the older generation did not like it.
What is something that you see gives you hope for the children?
What could you see? Hope for the children. Hope for the children to be good. To be good, it's depend on the parents too. I'm sorry I got to say it. Little by little, the kid gonna listen. If they know how to distinguish what is bad and what is good, you know, that's what it is. If the parents don't push them, it's kind of hard. They never change. They never change.
Honest. It's like genuine relationships. Yes, genuine relationships where you really talk about the issues and you hear the other side. And this is important for me in all things, but particularly with my children. And I want them to care about something. Find something to care about. Whether it's a hobby or a cause or personal fulfillment. Well, thank you. I probably should have told my mom I was doing this. I don't think I said anything too embarrassing about her or the family, did I? No. No.